So, what if I told you there's a technology that's making software developers over 50% more productive? Today, we're diving deep into how AI is powering software development, and trust me, it's not just changing the game, it's completely rewriting the rulebook. Okay, let's just start with a number that's pretty hard to ignore 55%. I mean, think about that for a second. In a field that is already obsessed with optimization, what could possibly make something 55% faster? Well, here's where that number comes from. A huge, groundbreaking study by GitHub found that developers using AI coding assistants, tools like Copilot, were finishing tasks more than half again as fast. Just imagine what you could get done with that kind of a boost. But hold on, is it really all about speed? Not even close. That 55% number, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The real story, the much more interesting story, is everything that's happening just beneath the surface. To really get the full picture, let's start where all the action is happening, right inside the code editor itself. It's not just one tool, it's a whole new breed of them. You can kind of think of them as having different personalities. You've got GitHub Copilot, which is like having a partner programmer right there with you, giving you real-time suggestions. Then there's DeepMind's AlphaCode. That's the absolute genius who can crack those super tough competitive programming problems. And then you have Microsoft's IntelliCode, which is kind of like the wise mentor who's seen thousands of projects and gives you context-aware advice. And listen, this isn't just a few early adopters playing with new toys. The data is clear. Developers are jumping on board. And why? Because it works. A recent survey found that 74%, almost 3/4, of developers say AI helps them spend less time on boring, routine stuff. And even better, 62% report their code has fewer defects. That is a massive win-win. But the AI revolution doesn't just stop when you're done typing. Its influence is spreading out across every single stage of building software, from that very first spark of an idea all the way to keeping a product running years down the line. Building software is kind of like building a house. First, you need the blueprints. Those are the requirements. Then you have the design, which is like laying the foundation and framing the walls. The coding is like running all the electrical and plumbing. Testing is, well, inspecting everything to make sure it's up to code. And finally, deployment and maintenance. That's you moving in and just doing the regular upkeep. For years, this was all done by human hands. But now, AI is showing up on the job site. Just imagine an AI that can listen to a client's scattered ideas and actually turn them into a clear, consistent set of requirements. Or an AI that can suggest the perfect design pattern for a really complex system. Or how about an AI that just tirelessly tests your code, sniffing out bugs like a bloodhound? This isn't science fiction, folks. It's what's happening today. Okay, so with all this new power comes a whole new set of problems, especially for project managers. I mean, if your team is suddenly working at light speed, how do you even keep them on track? The old ways of managing software projects, well, they're becoming obsolete, fast. Think about it like this. A traditional software project is like following a recipe. You know exactly what ingredients you need, you follow the steps, and you know what the final dish is going to look like. An AI project, on the other hand, is way more like a chemistry experiment. You have a hypothesis, you mix some things together, but you don't really know the outcome until you run the test. And then there's data. In a traditional app, data is like the gasoline you put in a car. It's really important, sure, but it's not the car itself. In an AI project, data isn't the gas. Data is the engine. Without a powerful, clean, well-maintained engine, your car is just a hunk of metal going nowhere. So this means we need a totally new way to grade our projects. It's not enough anymore to just get an A for being on time and on budget. The real test is whether the AI model itself gets an A for performance. If it can't deliver accurate results, the project is a failure. It's that simple. So, okay, we've established that the old rules are out the window. The big question is, what are the new rules? How do you actually navigate this new world of AI-powered software development? Well, before we can write the new playbook, we have to face the hurdles standing in our way. First, there's a big skill gap. Not enough people who really know how to manage these complex projects. Second, it can be expensive to get started. And third, and this might be the biggest one, there's a trust deficit. A full 60% of professionals are still skeptical about AI's abilities. That's a huge barrier. So what's the new recipe for success? Well, first, you need a healthy dose of scientific curiosity. You have to treat your projects like experiments. Second, you need a relentless focus on data quality. Your AI is only as good as the data you feed it. Then you have to define really clear metrics for what success looks like. You also need to build a culture that actually embraces learning from failure.
And finally, you have to automate the whole assembly line for testing and deploying your models.
Let's just pause on this for a second. Think about how many times in your career you've been told that failure is not an option. Well, in the world of AI, failure isn't just an option, it's a requirement. Every single time an experiment fails, you are one step closer to a breakthrough. So you really have to embrace this new mantra: fail fast, but learn faster.
So, what does all this mean for the future of work? Is AI coming for our jobs? The answer is a pretty resounding no. See, this isn't a story about replacement. It's a story about partnership, about a new kind of collaboration between humans and AI that's going to unlock incredible levels of creativity.
The key concept here is something called human in the loop. Think of it like a self-driving car. The AI is doing most of the work, the steering, the braking, but you are still in the driver's seat, ready to take over if something goes wrong. The AI is the powerful engine, but we're the ones steering, making sure we're always heading in the right, safe, and ethical direction. So the role of the software developer is evolving big time. They're going from being a bricklayer to being an architect. Instead of laying every single brick themselves, they're now designing the whole building, supervising the construction, and making the big strategic calls. They're becoming the guardians of quality. It's a more strategic, more creative, and honestly, a more fulfilling role.
Look, the AI revolution in software development isn't a question of if, it's a question of now. It's here. So the real question isn't whether it's coming, it's what you will do with these new superpowers. AI won't take your job, but someone using AI just might. The only question left is, are you ready?